How's it going? Ryan here at Etrailer.com. Today on our 2019 Subaru Forester, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the CURT 1.25" trailer hitch receiver. Right off the bat, in comparison to some of the other hitches available, this one is going to be a little more hidden because of its low profile design. And that's because the hitch is a class 2, so it's going to have that 1.25" by 1.25" receiver tube and be a little bit smaller than those 2-inch hitches. So it's going to work perfect for those hitch-mounted accessories, especially those bike racks. I really like the look of the reinforced collar, and it's also going to provide us with a little more strength. Now it is going to have a 1/2-inch size pinhole. Now keep in mind, a pin and clip does not come included, but if you need one, you can find it here at Etrailer. Now it is going to have plate-style safety chain openings, which are quite large and should let us use just about any size hook that we might have. And since they're tucked a little further back, we're not going to have to worry about interference with our pin and clip. Now as far as the hitch's weight capacities go, it's going to have a 350-pound maximum tongue weight rating. So that's going to be the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. So that's going to be perfect for those 1 to 3 bike racks. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, it's going to be 3,500 pounds, or the amount of weight pulling on the hitch. So that'll be the weight of your trailer plus anything you might have on it. Now I do want to point out, it is always a good idea to check with your Subaru's owner's manual to make sure your Forester can pull that much weight. And if you do plan on doing a little bit of towing, I'd recommend picking up some trailer wiring. That way the lights on your trailer will match the lights on your Subaru and you'll be safe and legal. And if you're looking for a nice bike rack that'll go great with our hitch and Subaru, I'd personally recommend the Thule Helium Pro. Now I'm going to give you a couple of measurements. You're going to use these to help figure out which hitch-mounted accessories to get. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's about 14.5 inches. And you're going to use that to figure out if you need to get a ball mount with either a drop or a rise. From the center of the hitch pinhole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's about 4 inches. And you're going to use that to figure out if any folding accessories you might have can be stored in an upright position without contacting the bumper. Now a great thing about this hitch, it's really easy to get installed and shouldn't take up a whole lot of your time. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and put it on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be removing this plastic panel here on the driver's side. The first fasteners that we're going to take out will be these push pin fasteners. There's going to be 5 of them. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, and then once we take this one out, the mud flap will come down. There will be another one under there. Then we'll have one up on this side. Now to get these out, we'll just take a flathead screwdriver and pry underneath the head of the fastener. Pull the head of it down. We can just pop it out. And then we're just going to have 2 more bolts. So I'll use a 10mm to get those off. I actually found one more fastener here in the wheel well we'll need to take out. And we're able to drop this down and set it off to the side. Now we're going to need to lower our exhaust, but before we do that, it's a good idea to take a strap and just run it from side to side. That way when we do lower the exhaust, it'll have a little extra support. We're going to have a total of 3 rubber isolator hangers that we need to remove. We're going to have one right here on the side of the muffler. Now to get these off, it's a good idea to spray them down with some penetrating oil or some soapy water. And we can just take a pry bar and work off the isolator from the metal hanger. We're going to have another one here on the passenger side towards the back of the muffler. You can do that same technique to get it removed. Then if we follow our exhaust towards the front of the vehicle, we're going to have that last hanger right here. Now we can remove our heat shield above our muffler, and that's going to be held in place with 4 10mm bolts. We can just drop it down and set it off to the side. Now if we come to our frame rail, we're going to have 3 rubber plugs that we need to take out. Get them out, you can just take a flathead, kind of pry underneath it, and just pop them out like that. Now I do want to point out, from this point on, anything we do to one side, we're also going to do to the other. Now the instructions say they want us to enlarge this center hole to make it big enough to get our hardware into the frame rail. However, I found it a lot easier and a lot less material to remove if we come back to this rubber plug, take that out, and use this for the access hole since it's already quite large. Now what we're going to do is open this up just a little bit, and I'm going to use a die grinder to do that. However, you could use a large drill bit or even a hand file. And we just need to make it large enough to be able to easily fit our spacer block through, as well as our bolt. Now we can use the fishwire technique to get our hardware into place. So we're going to take the coiled end, and starting with this hole closest to our back bumper, push that into the frame rail and push it all the way back. What we're trying to do is get that coiled end to drop out of our access hole that we enlarged. Now once it's like that, we're going to take a spacer block, slide that over. We're going to take our carriage bolt and thread that onto the fishwire. Now we can grab the other end of the fishwire, feed our hardware up into the frame rail, pull it down until we get that bolt to drop through. Now I'm going to use that same technique to get that same hardware combination in these 2 remaining holes. With all of our hardware in place, since we won't be using our access hole anymore, what I like to do is just take some clear spray paint to help cover up that bare metal. Now if you want to reinstall your heat shield, which is optional, you're going to have to drill a couple of holes. Well, if you look on the heat shield, there will be 2 dimples, and we're going to use that as a template to drill those holes to the size specified in the instructions. So now we'll take our heat shield and reinstall it. We will have to run our fish wires through the 2 holes that we drilled. We're able to push it into place. Now we're going to reinstall it using the factory hardware that was originally holding it up, with the exception of 1 bolt. We're not going to be putting this bolt right here back in. Now with an extra set of hands, we can lift our hitch into place and push our fish wires through the corresponding holes in the hitch. Lift it against the frame, getting our hardware to drop through the openings. Then we're able to remove one of the fish wires and use a flange nut to loosely secure it. Now you want to get one started on each side. That way the hitch will support itself while we work on the rest of the hardware. Now we can put the rest of our hardware on hand tight. Now just a trick I want to point out, if you're having a hard time getting the nut started because the bolt wants to push up into the frame, what you can do is take a flathead screwdriver and just apply a little bit of pressure on the bolt, and that'll hold it steady, and you'll be able to easily get the nut started. Now we can go ahead and snug all of our hardware down. Now we can use a torque wrench to tighten all of our hardware down to the specification found in the instructions. Now we can go ahead and rehang our exhaust, except this time we're just going to use our hand to lift it up. We're able to just slide those hangers back into position. And with the exhaust supporting itself, we can now remove our strap. We can go ahead and put our panel back in place. Now, there is something I do want to point out. We're going to use all that same hardware that was originally holding it in place, with the exception of one 10mm bolt. We're going to put our bolt into this hole. However, this one we will not be using. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT 1.25" trailer hitch receiver on our 2019 Subaru Forester.